Section 2 of The Adventures of Old Man Coyote by Thornton W. Burgess. This Librivox Recording is in the public domain. Chapter 5 Reddy Fox Visits Jimmy Skunk.
Bobby Coon is afraid. Yes, Sir, Bobby Coon is afraid. He doesn't dare go with me to look at that half-eaten chicken over on the Green Meadows. He's a coward, that's what he is.
Reddy Fox muttered this to himself as he trotted away from Bobby Coon's big hollow tree in the Green Forest. Reddy was right and he was wrong. He was right in thinking that Bobby Coon was afraid. Bobby was afraid, but that didn't make him a coward. You see, he couldn't see what good it would do him to go see that half-eaten chicken way out there in the Green Meadows so far away from trees. Bobby is like Happy Jack Squirrel. He never feels really safe unless there is a tree close at hand to climb, for Bobby's legs are not very long, and though he can run fast for a little distance, he soon gets out of breath. Then he climbs the nearest tree. But if there had been any really good reason for going, Bobby would have gone even though he was afraid, and that shows that he wasn't a coward. But Reddy Fox likes to think himself very brave and everyone else a coward. So he trotted along with his nose turned up in scorn because Bobby Coon was afraid. He was disappointed too, was Reddy Fox. You see, he had hoped to get Bobby to go with him, and when they got there, that Bobby would go close to the half-eaten chicken and try to find out who had left it on the Green Meadows and for what reason. Reddy, who is always suspicious, thought that there might be a trap, and if so, Bobby would find it, and then Reddy would know without running any danger himself. That shows how sly he is. But as long as Bobby wouldn't go, there was nothing for Reddy to do but to try the same plan with Jimmy Skunk, and so he headed straight for Jimmy Skunk's house. Now, deep in his heart, Reddy Fox hated Jimmy Skunk, and more than once he had tried to get Jimmy into trouble. But now, as he saw Jimmy sitting on his doorstep, Reddy looked as pleasant as only Reddy can. He smiled as if Jimmy were his very best friend.
"Good morning, Jimmy Skunk. I'm glad to see you," said Reddy. "I hope you are feeling well this morning." Now Jimmy had had a good breakfast of fat beetles, and he was feeling very good-natured. But he wasn't fooled by Reddy's pleasant ways. To himself he thought, "I wonder what mischief Reddy Fox is up to." But aloud he said, "Good morning, Reddy Fox. You are looking very fine and handsome this morning. Of course, no one who is as big and brave as you are is afraid of the stranger with a terrible voice who has frightened the rest of us so for the last few nights." Now all the time he was saying this, Jimmy knew perfectly well that Reddy was afraid, and he turned his head to hide a smile as Reddy swelled up to look very big and important and replied, "Oh my, no! No indeed! Certainly not! I'm not afraid of anybody or anything. By the way, I saw a strange thing down on the Green Meadows early this morning. It was a half-eaten chicken hidden in a clump of grass and bushes. I wondered if you left it there."
Jimmy Skunk pricked up his ears.
"No," said he, "I didn't leave it there. I haven't taken a chicken from Farmer Brown's this spring, and I haven't been up to his henhouse for more than a week. Who do you suppose could have left it there? I haven't the least idea unless—"
Reddy looked this way and that to make sure that they were alone.
"Unless it was the stranger who was frightened every one but me," he finished in a whisper.
Jimmy pricked his ears up more than ever.
"Do you really suppose it could have been?" he asked.
"Come down there with me and see for yourself," replied Reddy, and Jimmy said he would. Chapter 6 Jimmy Skunk Goes with Reddy Fox Jimmy Skunk and Reddy Fox trotted along down the Crooked Little Path to the Green Meadows. Reddy was impatient and in a hurry, but Jimmy Skunk never hurries, and he didn't now. He just took his time, and Reddy Fox had to keep waiting for him. Reddy was nervous and anxious. He kept turning his head this way and that way. He looked behind every little bush and clump of grass. He cocked his sharp ears at every little sound. He sniffed every little breeze. It was very plain that Reddy Fox was ill at ease. "Hurry up, Jimmy Skunk! Hurry up!" he urged every few minutes, and he had hard work to make his voice sound pleasant. But Jimmy didn't hurry. Indeed, it seemed as if Jimmy were slower than usual. The more impatient Reddy grew, the slower Jimmy seemed to go. And every time Reddy's back was turned, Jimmy would grin, and his sharp little eyes twinkled with mischief. You see, he knew that despite all his boasting, Reddy Fox was afraid. And because he wasn't afraid himself, Jimmy was getting a lot of fun out of watching Reddy. Once, when Reddy had stopped to look over the Green Meadows, Jimmy stole up behind him very softly and suddenly pulled Reddy's tail. Reddy sprang forward with a frightened yelp and started to run as only Reddy can. Then he heard Jimmy Skunk laughing and knew that Jimmy had played a joke on him. He stopped short and whirled around. "What are you laughing at, Jimmy Skunk?" he shouted angrily. "Oh, nothing. Nothing at all," replied Jimmy, and his face was as sober as if he never had laughed and never could laugh. Reddy opened his mouth to say something ugly, but suddenly remembered that if he quarreled with Jimmy Skunk, then Jimmy wouldn't go any farther with him. So he gulped down his anger as best he could and grinned sheepishly while he waited for Jimmy to catch up with him. So at last they came to the bunch of grass and bushes in which Reddy had found the half-eaten chicken early that morning. There it lay, just as Reddy had left it. Reddy stopped at a safe distance and pointed it out to Jimmy Skunk. Jimmy looked at it thoughtfully. "Who do you suppose could have brought it away down here on the Green Meadows?" whispered Reddy, as if afraid that some one might overhear him. Jimmy Skunk scratched his head as if thinking very hard. "It might have been Redtail the Hawk," said he at last. "That's so. I didn't think of him," replied Reddy.
"But it looks to me as if it were left there in the night, and Redtail never hunts at night because his eyes are for seeing in the daytime and not in the dark," added Jimmy Skunk.
"Let's go closer, and perhaps we can tell who left it there." "Of course, that's a good idea," replied Reddy, starting forward as if he were going to walk right up to the chicken. After a few steps he stopped as if he had a sudden thought. "I tell you what," said he, "one of us had better keep watch to see that no danger is near. I am taller than you and can see over the grass better than you can, so I'll keep watch while you see what you can find out." Now Jimmy Skunk saw through Reddy's plan right away, but Jimmy wasn't afraid because he isn't afraid of much of anything. So he agreed. While Reddy kept watch, he carefully made his way to the half-eaten chicken hidden in the clump of grass and bushes. All the time he kept his eyes wide open for traps, but there were no traps there. He was gone a long time, and when at last he came out, his face was very sober. "Well, was it Redtail the Hawk?" asked Reddy eagerly. "No," said Jimmy. "No, it wasn't Redtail the Hawk or Hooty the Owl. It was some one with teeth very much like yours, Reddy Fox, only bigger, and with feet very much like yours, only these were bigger too. And the chicken wasn't one of Farmer Brown's at all. It was brought from somewhere farther away than Farmer Brown's. And that shows that it was someone smarter than you, Reddy Fox, because
whoever it was knew that if they stole a chicken from Farmer Brown, his boy and Bowser the Hound would come looking for it.
Chapter 7 A Call on Digger the Badger For fox or man the better plan with unknown danger near is to go home and no more roam until the way be clear. That is what Reddy Fox thinks. The thought popped right into his head when Jimmy Skunk told him that the half-eaten chicken had been left on the Green Meadows by someone with teeth and feet very like Reddy's own, but bigger. But Reddy pretended not to believe it. "Oh, pooh!" said he. "How do you know that this stranger has feet like mine, only bigger? You haven't seen him, have you?" "No," said Jimmy Skunk, shaking his head. "No, I haven't seen him, and I don't need to know that. His footprints are right over here in the sand. Come look for yourself, Reddy Fox." "No, thanks," said Reddy hastily. "The fact is, I have some very important matters to look after in the Green Forest, and I must hurry along. You'll excuse me, won't you, Jimmy Skunk? If you say that there are footprints like mine, only larger, of course I believe it. I would stop to look at them if I could, but I find that I am already very late. By the way, if you will look a little closer at those footprints, I think you will find that they were made by a dog. I'm sorry I can't wait for you, but you are such a slow walker that I really haven't the time. Let me know if you find out anything about this stranger." And with that, off he started for the Green Forest. Jimmy Skunk grinned, for he knew that Reddy had nothing more important to attend to than to get away as fast as he could from a place which he felt might be dangerous. "Don't fool yourself, Reddy Fox, by thinking I don't know the footprints of a dog when I see them. Besides, I smelled of them, and they don't smell of dog," shouted Jimmy, before Reddy could get out of hearing. Jimmy watched Reddy out of sight and chuckled as he saw Reddy keep turning to look over his shoulder as if he expected to find something terrible at his heels. "I'd never run away until I knew what I was running from," exclaimed Jimmy with the greatest scorn. "Did you ever see such a coward?" With Reddy gone, Jimmy's thoughts came back to the queer things which were driving all the happiness from the Green Meadows at the very happiest time of all the year. There was that strange, terrible voice in the night, the voice that was not that of Hooty the Owl or Dippy the Loon or a little yelping dog, yet which sounded something like all three, and which was frightening all the little people until they were afraid to move out of sight of their homes. And there was this half-eaten chicken hidden in the clump of grass and bushes on the Green Meadows by some one with teeth and feet, very much like those of Reddy Fox, only bigger. It was all very queer indeed. The more he thought about it, the more Jimmy felt sure that the owner of the terrible voice was the owner of the big teeth and the maker of the strange footprints. He was scratching his head as he puzzled over the matter when he happened to look over to the home of Digger the Badger. Jimmy's eyes brightened. "I believe I'll make a call on Digger. Perhaps he will know something about it," said he, and off he started. Digger the Badger sat on his doorstep. He has very few friends, for he is grumpy and very apt to be out of sorts. Besides, most of the little people are afraid of him, but Jimmy Skunk isn't afraid of any one but Farmer Brown's boy, and not even of him unless he has his terrible gun. So he walked right up to the doorstep where Digger the Badger was sitting. "Good morning," said Jimmy politely. "Morning," grunted Digger the Badger. "What do you think of the queer doings on the Green Meadows?" asked Jimmy. "What queer doings?" asked Digger. Then Jimmy Skunk told all about the strange voice and the strange footprints. Digger the Badger didn't say a word until Jimmy was through. Then he chuckled. "Why," said he, "that is only my old friend from the Great West. Old Man Coyote.
Chapter 8. Old Man Coyote Makes Himself at Home. It was out at last. Digger the Badger had told Jimmy Skunk who it was that had so frightened the little people of the Green Forest and the Green Meadows with his terrible voice, and Jimmy Skunk had straightway sent the Merry Little Breezes of Old Mother West Wind over to the Smiling Pool, up along the Laughing Brook, through the Green Forest, and over the Green Meadows to spread the news that it was Old Man Coyote from the Great West who had come to make his home on the Green Meadows. And that night when they heard his voice, somehow it didn't sound so terrible. You see, they knew who it was, and that made all the difference in the world. The shivers still might crawl and creep and chase away good friendly sleep, but knowing whom he had to fear brought to each heart a bit of cheer. That may seem a bit queer, but it was so. You see, not knowing what or whom to be afraid of made the little meadow and forest people afraid every minute of the time, afraid to sleep, afraid to put their noses out of their homes, almost afraid to draw a long breath. But now that they knew it was Old Man Coyote who had so frightened them, they felt better, for Digger the Badger, who had known him in the Great West where they had been neighbors, had told Jimmy Skunk what he looked like, and Jimmy Skunk had spread the news so that everybody would know Old Man Coyote when they saw him. So, though each one knew that he mustn't give Old Man Coyote a chance to catch him, each felt sure right down in his heart that all he had to do was to be just a little bit smarter than Old Man Coyote, and he would be safe. Of course, it didn't take Old Man Coyote long to learn that he had been found out. He grinned to himself, stretched and yawned, and then came from his secret hiding place.
"I think I'll call on my neighbors,"
said he, and trotted toward the house of Digger the Badger. The Merry Little Breezes saw him first, and in a great flutter of excitement they hurried this way and that way to tell everybody that the stranger from the Great West had come out in the light of day. My! Such a scampering as there was for a safe place from which to peep out at Old Man Coyote. He pretended not to notice, and didn't look this way or that way, but trotted on about his own business. Digger the Badger was sitting on his doorstep, and he grinned when he saw Old Man Coyote coming.
"It's about time you called on your old friend," said he.
It was Old Man Coyote's turn to grin.
"That's so, Brother Badger," he replied, "but the fact is, I've been living very quietly." "Excepting at night," said Digger, showing all his teeth in a rather broad grin. "Your voice certainly has sounded good to me." "I guess it's the first time," interrupted Old Man Coyote. "The first time I heard it, I thought I was dreaming," continued Digger, just as if he hadn't heard what Old Man Coyote said. "Seems just like home to have you about. But tell me, how does it happen that you have come here out of the Great West?" "That's too long a story to tell now. Anyway, I might ask you the same thing. But here I am, and I believe I'll stay. I like the Green Meadows and the Green Forest. Now I must be going along to call on the rest of my new neighbors. I hope they'll be glad to see me." Old Man Coyote grinned again when he said this, for no one knew better than he did how very much afraid of him his new neighbors were. "Come again when you can stop longer," said Digger the Badger. "I will," replied Old Man Coyote, starting toward the Smiling Pool. End of Section 2.